Hello and welcome to the Anatomy of Change podcast. That's right. New name, new face, new plan. Everything is different, you guys. So, again, welcome to Anatomy of Change podcast. My name is Seth. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. And this show is where we examine change, what it takes to change, how we make that change last for ourselves and for the people we love. So, you guys, it's so good to be back. It's absolutely so good to be back. I have tried to record this podcast, I promise you, like 12 different times, thinking, okay, what am I going to go over? What am I going to say? How am I going to reintroduce myself to the listeners? What am I going to give updates about and everything? Obviously, if you guys have been following the story on Instagram, that's -1 now, right? And I'm just going to be really, really straight up. Me and Melanie are divorced. Done, kaput, right? And I'm not saying it like that just to, bring light to it or ignore the fact of this was a really serious thing that happened in our lives. But it's crazy. The stuff that you realize, sometimes you are so close to the forest, you can't even see the trees, right? I'm going to talk more about boundaries and all kinds of stuff. But you guys, I am super duper excited to be back behind the mic, to be offering advice, to be vulnerable, to share stories of my own self. I always like to give people the gift of going second. That means if I can talk about something scary, hard, vulnerable, weird, awkward, or whatever, if I can talk about it first, that gives you permission to be like, okay, I've thought of that too. I have felt like that. What other people feel like that? He's talking about it on the show with himself and his guest right now. Okay. I'm not as weird as I thought I was. I have permission to share my story. And guess what? When we share our stories, when we talk about our feelings, our thoughts, our stuff, our failures, our triumph, all this stuff, the hard stuff, the good stuff, the wins, the losses, guess what? We grow. And that is what we are about at Anatomy of Change. When I say we, it means me and my small little team, growing team, however. And, okay, me and Melanie are divorced. Like I said, the move was in 2024, June, July. It was pretty hard, right? And it brought up a lot of stuff that was kind of underneath the surface in our relationship, stuff that we really desperately tried to work on. But long story short, it was hard. It brought us some stuff. Melanie fell in love with another guy and now lives with him, and boom, we're kaput. Right? Of course, there's other stuff to the story. I had some failures. I didn't do everything right. I dropped the ball on the move. I made it stressful for her and the kids, and I regret that, right? But it is where we are right now, and that's how it ended up, right? She's over there. I'm here. I have met an amazing woman as well, in God's providence and God's grace and God's great plan. Sometimes the best things ever, happen when you aren't even looking for it. And there's been so much growth that just has happened from that relationship alone, let alone all the growth that happened in the last year and a half. And I got this idea of Anatomy of Change because when we go through change, major life changes like death or divorce or marriage or the birth of a kid or a new job or the loss of a job, or a move across country from Seattle to Florida, those are changes. And how we respond and react to those changes really kind of shows us who we are. It shows us what we need to work on, the things we're good at. And I really wanted to examine how I got through the last year and a half. She has her own story, and just like everybody has their own stories, right? But whose story do I know the best? I know my story. I know how I processed it. I know where the strength came from. I know where the weaknesses came from. So I truly want to highlight I'll call it a success story, right? Because it was the hardest year and a half of my entire life, and I did 5 main things to help me get through that and actually come out stronger on the other side. I want to share those with you. And I'm really interested as a therapist, as a psychologist, in how people handle super hard things. So we're going to have a couple different formats on this new show. We're going to have solo episodes when it's me talking or teaching about mental health, mindset, fitness, spirituality. We're going to have interview episodes where, of course, I talk to other guests. I ask them a series of questions. Hey, basically, tell me the hardest thing you've ever gone through. How'd you get through it? How did that change last? And where are you now? I want to know those stories. And then something really cool that I'm really excited about, you guys, is an idea that came to me just out of the blue. I wasn't looking for it, just like my new relationship now, wasn't really looking for it, but once it came to me, I'm like, this is amazing. I could do this all day, right? And I'm calling this new series that I'm talking about, which will be included in the Anatomy of Change world, S3, and that means Short Sermons with Seth. That's right, sermons. Talking about, where's my Bible? It's downstairs. Talking about biblical principles, using verses, yes, actual verses. And if you've listened long enough, I know a bunch of verses, but I never know where they are. Well, I know where they are now. Talking about biblical principles, different teachings, and how I can incorporate mental health and mindset and growth into those, which I'm super excited about, right? At this, let's see, I was supposed to launch this podcast on 9/11 because 9/11, day of change, everything, right? But then 9/10 happened with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which just made things feel weird and just like, wow, this is something. And I even did an interview that day, and it was just like completely off. It was just a weird day. So I decided to postpone this episode, thankfully, because I'm recording it again. Remember, I've had like 12 episodes in the computer, in the bank, but I just was never happy with them. They were boring. They were too long-winded. They were just like, low energy, blah. I didn't like it, right? That is not how I wanted to represent this new show, this new era, this new podcast called Anatomy of Change. So I wanted to do something different. I wanted to change it up. So I'm recording it now. And so we're going to have interview episodes. We're going to have solo episodes and short sermons with Seth, which I'm calling S cubed, S3. S cubed, S3. I don't know yet. But, okay, I want to take you guys back to, let's go back a year and a half, okay? We were moving, and I got COVID in Mexico, and I stopped drinking in Mexico, right? Partied, all this stuff, got COVID, decided to stop drinking because I knew kind of in the back of my mind that it would just not be smart to be drinking and like packing and moving and this huge change. It's like, okay, let's don't do that, right? But then stuff hit the fan relationship-wise, and then I triple knew. I'm like, there's no way that I can go through this with a level head and be drinking, right? So I decided to, and this was one of the best decisions of my life, to cut out drinking, right, for a time being. Like, boom, that's gone. Do 75 hard like crazy, like a madman. Link myself up with other like-minded, strong men who value growth mindset, spirituality, entrepreneurship, business, being the best person you can, right, and getting real with each other, and fitness, health, relationships, and also spirituality. Just digging into God's Word, digging into Jesus, and faith and prayer and fasting, and just crying out to God like no other time in my life before. Because, like I said, this last year has been the absolute hardest year of my life. Now, luckily, nobody died. Thank the good Lord in heaven. Nobody died. Nobody got maimed or had, limbs amputated or anything like that. No major accidents, nothing like that. So, praise Jesus, none of that. However, yes, there were times in this year and a half where I knew nothing. Everything, I used to say this on the old show, it's like, okay, every choice and not choice, which is still a choice, has brought you to this very present moment right here, right now. Like, as you're listening to this show right now, you might be driving, you might be working out, you might be at home baking bread or something like that. Every choice that you've made up until now has brought you to this show, which is really cool. So I knew that nothing I had done previously, not like everything was a failure or anything like that, but I had to really reassess and reevaluate my life. I just moved across the country. Marriage was completely falling apart. My wife was falling in love with another guy. I didn't know she was going to leave, right? Didn't know that. And kids were mad, all kinds of stuff. It was crazy. I knew that I had to focus on what I can control, right? So think of yourself as a stick figure, right? Draw a circle around yourself. Put in that circle all the things you can control. You can control what you eat, drink, think, say, do, or don't do, right? And then draw another circle. Put all the people, the places, the things that you cannot control. So for me, I'm like, in this time of real difficulty, what can I control? I can control if I drink or not. I can control if I work out or not. I can control what I eat, drink, read, say, do, all this stuff. So 5 main areas that absolutely got me through this, that changed my life. So I'm going to give you the anatomy of what changed me, right? Sobriety. Boom. If you're going through a hard time right now, drinking or drugging or anything, I don't do drugs, drinking or drugging is not the way for success in anything whatsoever. Nothing whatsoever. There is no answer that you can get at the bottom of a bottle that is going to help you. Trust me on that, okay? So, boom, stone cold sobriety, number 1. Number 2, most importantly, it's important not to drink during this time, but most importantly, more powerful, is falling on my face to Jesus, to the creator of you, of me, of every tree, of every bird, of every plant, of every animal you've ever seen. Having that higher power. Knowing that I did not have the answers. Everything that I thought or did before got me to this point. So I had to surrender my ego, my will, what I thought was right, what I thought was wrong, surrender it to Jesus, right? The Bible talks about He is the strongest when we are at our weakest, right? And boy, is that ever so true. Bible, reading, prayer, Psalms, Proverbs, Job, Ecclesiastes, everything, every red letter you can think of. That was my spiritual food during this time, right? Okay, so sobriety, falling on your face to God, giving Him everything, right? Intense physical workouts, because this was something that I could control. I can control my body. If I want to run, if I want to lift, if I want to do jujitsu, if I want to stretch, I can control that. So I decided, you guys have heard me talk about 75 hard before and the efficacy of that and how good it is for my body, because one thing, it got me out of my head and into my body. And for guys in particular, we tend to be in our heads a lot. So if I can get out of that space, clear out that clutter, quiet some of that noise, and run like crazy, work out like crazy, get into my body, that does a body good. So I started 75 hard, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep on going. So in this time, I did 75 hard for 155 days straight and ran a 5K every single day for 155 days straight. And when I say run, I don't mean like 11 or 12-minute miles. I mean sub 9-minute miles. 8:05, 8:30, 8:36 miles for 3.25 miles. Yes, I know a 5K is 3.14, but 3.25 just sounds good to me, and that's what I always do. So on top of a second workout, either body weights or gym, right? So intense physical fitness for 155 days. Boy, that was so amazing. So we got sobriety, we got Jesus Christ, our Lord, and working my butt off in the gym and running. Okay, number four, journaling, thinking about mental health and mindset. In this process, I came to the realization of, Seth, do not bottle anything up that you're feeling. Allow yourself to feel every emotion, every thought, everything that comes to your mind, whether that is just rage, anger, I want to kill someone, to thank you, Jesus, for every good and great blessing. Man, I'm so joyful right now. I am so happy right now. Look at that sunset. I am so thankful. Seth, allow yourself to feel every feeling, without judgment, without criticism, and without shame. So a deep focus on mental health and mindset there. You know what was really important too? The process of journaling. Journaling every single day. My thoughts, what was going on, what kind of argument happened, what kind of personal breakthrough happened, what kind of prayer happened, what was God revealing to me in this time. I have so much content in not only this Moleskine journal, but 4 or 5 right here. And it documents a whole year and a half of thoughts, of processes, of triumphs, of fears, of failures. So journaling, and what journaling does is it gets it out of my mind onto the paper. So number one, I'm getting it out of my body, essentially, the thoughts, the feelings, getting it out of my body, writing it down. And when you write something, what do? You read it. So then you process it. It's not in here. You get to process it outside of your body. And then you kind of synthesize and go through those thoughts again and have different interpretations of what you were initially feeling on what was on the inside. And then you write more down. And you just grow and grow and grow. So journaling was huge. Mental health and mindset. Allowing myself to feel all the feelings, again, without shame, without condemnation, without judgment. That was huge, you guys. Huge. And then, lastly, surrounding myself with good men. And some women, but mostly I, paid, a lot of money to be in a mastermind where I got good spiritual accountability, advice, feedback, just somebody to say, bro, you're doing okay. Things are okay. You do not know how valuable kind words were. Somewhere in Proverbs, and this is random, I didn't prepare for this, but somewhere in Proverbs, a kind, true words from a friend is like a balm, like a salve on, dry skin or something like that. Like 2 guys in particular, one of them, Toby from the band I used to be in, Emery, he went through a divorce, and then another dude who's an influencer, who I know pretty well, also went through divorce, and both of them said the same thing. Well, okay, going back. Number one, I'm very grateful that they were open to sharing their story, right? So no matter what you're going through, you can always help someone. And that is what they did for me, right? Through their pain, through their suffering, they were helping me. They were, maybe a year ahead of me in that respect, but they also helped me. And they said, Seth, you're okay. You are okay. Things are okay. And one of the things that I said to myself, well, as you can imagine, there were a lot of things that I said to myself, a lot of negative self-talk, a lot of positive self-talk. But one of the things I said, and I kind of quickly remedied this because I like the forward-thinking aspect of it more than the kind of I'm waiting on something. And so often we hear people say, or we say it to ourselves or to others, hey, things are going to be okay. Things are gonna be okay. And this illustrates a mindset to me where if I just if I just win the lottery, if I just lose 10 pounds, if I just get that girl, if I just get that guy, or if I just had a graduate degree, then things will be okay. Then, my ship will come in. Then stuff will be fine. No. I don't like that thinking anymore. You want to know why? Because it implies that things are not okay right now. I can't be happy unless I have this thing. I won't be content unless I reach this goal. Now, Ed Milet talks about this idea of, what is it? I think, I can't remember. But the idea is, yeah, you can be content and still want a whole lot more. Right? You can take a bite of, a great steak, and none of us is going to take one bite of a great steak and go, all right, I'm full, I'm done. No, we want more of that good thing, right? But we also can be very thankful and have gratitude and content and still want more. So the idea of, things are going to be okay, I stopped saying that to myself, and I literally just repeated the mantra every day. Things are okay. Everything is okay, Seth. You're hurting, you're grieving, you're confused, you're angry, you're sad, you're all these things, all these emotions, which I was allowing myself to feel, right? And I'm saying all this because if you are in something like this is the anatomy of change. This is the whole purpose of this new show, you guys. The entire purpose is to talk about things like this, to be real, to accept all the feelings and emotions about it, and continue to move forward. Continue to move forward to the goal. So when I say, hey, everything is okay, that does not mean that I'm going to sit here and wait for something to happen for me to lose 15 pounds, or wait for something to happen for me to take the chance on a new relationship or a new job prospect or something like that. No. I am not saying that at all. What I am saying is a couple different things, and on a very deep spiritual level. Everything is okay because during this, I had and thank Jesus for this, I had the unwavering belief in knowing that things were okay. God has got me. God has got me 100%. And when you repeat that to yourself, not only do you start to believe it, but you start to act like it's true, and you start to believe it's true, and you start to manifest and attract like okay things, if that makes sense. So the idea, things are okay, I'm going to act like they are okay, and then do the actions, whatever that is. Continue down the path, continue improving mental health, reading tons of books, trying to rebuild your life. All these things, you guys, it is possible. So let me just quickly recap. Sobriety, Jesus, 100%, Bible, journaling, spirituality, praying, fasting, all this stuff. Intense physical exercise, and you don't have to go to the extreme of 155 days of a 5K or anything like that, but controlling the feeling and the satisfaction of controlling what your body does really translated into a lot of other stuff mentally and emotionally, right? Sobriety, Jesus, physical exercise, mental health and mindset, including journaling, right? Self-care, like reading tons of stuff, growing, pushing yourself, and then surrounding myself with guys, men in particular, who were wise, who I respected, friends, family, leaning into those guys. And trust me, sometimes I'd call my friends and be like, dude, I know I sound like just a broken record here, but can you just hear me out? Can you help me process something? And every single time, you guys, which I'm so thankful for, just like a dozen friends, so thankful for them taking the time. Hey, it's okay, man. Let's just talk. I'm here for it. No, don't apologize. I got you, right? And like having that level of friendship really, really feels good, And one thing in real particular that I am so proud of, again, I have made mistakes, and I'm not trying to point anybody out as a bad guy because I own my stuff. Like, this is the first time I've ever gone through divorce, right? This is the first time I've ever experienced crazy betrayal and what? That's and trust and all this stuff. So if it's your first time on something, give yourself some grace, right? Again, but don't let yourself off the hook. You're still accountable. You still made mistakes, still own those things. And I said a lot of stupid stuff that made the situation worse. I'll be honest, that made the situation worse with my ex, that made the situation worse with my kids even. That's the most hurtful part of the entire thing. Marriage, whatever, right? Done. I get that. But man, relationship with the kids, that's really hard. So I guess I'll transition into that. So I am in Florida. So is my ex, and we share our daughter 50-50. And then our other kids are in Washington, which we visit and, hang out with. Well, not we, but visit and make plans with and living life. But they're staying out there for school because their friends and stuff are out there. So, having saying that this is a transition is like saying the actual least of everything that's going on, right? But I can look back and go, hey, Seth, because I've talked about purpose and identity on the show previous to this, but like when shit hits the fan and you can look back on your journals and go, hey, Seth, or you talking to yourself, what did you go back to over and over and over and over? Where did you go for strength, for respite, for self-care or whatever? And as a therapist, I kind of hate the term self-care because people think, self-care means pizza and, spa, 7 days a week. And it's like, no, that's not self-care. That's delusion care, right? But what do you go back to? That is one of the best indicators of what you find your identity in and what you find your purpose in. And for me, I am proud, and I thank my mom and other people who supported my Christian journey growing up. I'm really thankful that every single time I would go back to God, go back to the wisdom of the Holy Spirit within me, going back to the wisdom of the Bible and different preachers and teachers and podcasts and books. I always went back to that, which is really, I'm proud of that. If I want to toot my own horn, I am proud of that because it shows me like, oh, that's part of your identity. That's what you really believe, right? Physical exercise, helping others, being real, being vulnerable, relying on friends, journaling, mental health and mindset. That is who I am, and that is one of the true core tenets of this podcast. I always want to talk about these things. I want to talk about mindset, growth mindset, mental health, fitness, relationships, and God, and how we can incorporate all 5 of those to create a life that you want to live, that you can be proud of, to create the relationships, the friends, the body, the spirituality, the mindsets that you actually want. And I'm super curious. Like, I have always loved the idea of psychology, how people think, how other people think, why do we do what we do? It's just fascinating to me, right? So if I can interview other people and help you on your journey to change and break down the anatomy of change, whatever that looks like for you, then wonderful, wonderful. And I'm not going to apologize whenever I talk about Jesus, whenever I talk about God, whenever I talk about fitness or mental health or mindset or relationships, or calling all of us out on our own bullcrap, the things that hold us back, the things that we just want to hold on to because we either think they're the right way to do things from family of origin or whatever, or culturally or whatever. If those things aren't working, stop. Stop those things. Change it. We all have the ability to change whenever we want to at any moment. I believe that fully. Okay, let me see if I have any points here. You guys, again, I've recorded this like 12 times. I'm like, oh, I should talk about this and talk about that. But like so many crazy things have happened. Me and my daughter went to Brazil. Brazil, who goes to Brazil? I don't know. Who goes to Brazil after moving from Washington to Florida? Then actually we moved back from Florida to Washington, got divorced, and then moved back from Washington to Florida. So 3,000-mile solo cross-country trips by this guy, right? I don't mind cross-country driving. You learn a lot, you pray a lot, you see a lot of cool things. But who does all that stuff and then goes to Brazil with their daughter? Oh, guess what? I do, because God has some providential providence that's crazy, and we met some amazing Christian people when we were here the first time and got invited to Brazil. So me and Hattie spent a week down in Brazil, in Santa Catarina, and it's in southern Brazil, kind of near Argentina, and it was freaking amazing. I got prophesied over in a Portuguese church in a completely different language, have no idea what they were saying, but never been prophesied over before, and that was amazing, and some of the things came true already in that, and I'm looking forward to God's blessing and providence as it was prophesied. So it's crazy. I've never done that before, but God is moving, and it's pretty amazing. Again, I'm not going to apologize in the direction that I am taking this show. A while back, in a journaling session and just some meditation, I heard the clear voice on my heart, not an audible voice, but God said, Seth, speak my words, not yours. I'm like, okay, I hear you loud and clear. Speak my words, not yours. Boom. Period. End of story. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that, God. I'm going to do that with passion and fun and boldness. It's like, all right, what do I have to lose? Everything has changed upside down. And I mean, it's amazing, right? Like thriving coaching practice, thriving therapy practice, which is amazing. And now I get to come back and talk to you guys and field your questions and talk to really cool people while I'm doing really cool stuff. And I get to continue to change lives. So I'm very thankful for that. Like I said, we're going to always talk about mindset, mental health, fitness, relationships, and God. We're going to do, I've been toying with the idea of doing a Motivation Monday session too. If you guys want that, let me know. But yeah, we have a lot of stuff here. It's my story of divorce, sobriety, overcoming the hardest thing I've ever overcome to date, which is kind of, a cakewalk to a lot of other people. Like, people are losing family members, people are in war, people are sick, and all this stuff. So I don't discount any of that, but I am thankful for where I am right here today. So I feel like this has been a banger of an episode compared to the other 12 ones that I did and rambled and stuff like that. But you guys, I am so excited. I am honored that you are coming back to listen to the show, and I want to create and provide you guys content to enrich your lives spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, in every way, relationships, individual, fitness, all this stuff, because that is what I was here to do. No, that's what I was put here to do. I am a helper, and I'm not afraid to talk about whatever if it helps you, okay? Because guess what? It helps me talk about this stuff. It helps me process this stuff, and I'm super duper excited to help you guys along. So buckle up. I'm super excited about Anatomy of Change. If you have questions, anything like that, email me straight at seth@anatomyofchangeofficial.com. I'll say it again, seth@anatomyofchangeofficial.com. It is an honor to be back with you guys. I am super excited, and God bless, and we will talk to you guys soon. All right. Peace out, guys. Later.